Good morning. Today I schedule my hysterectomy. Well, here's the deal. They have to get approval. I forgot about that step. And Bear said, no, baby, they have to get approval from your insurance. I hope they don't take too long. I think the longest I've waited is a week, but that was for a medication, and my doctor gave me samples, so I didn't have to wait. And because next week is spring break, and I would really like to have the surgery during spring break. But it's in God's hands, so whatever. Next week, I'm going to be hanging out with my little granddaughter so her mama can finish packing up their house. They bought a brand new house, and I'm excited for them. I love that our kids are in relationships I've never had before. Bear and I are we feel so blessed. They're in beautiful relationships with good people. And I don't know, I'm so grateful that if Bear and I contribute anything to how their lives are right now, I'm so grateful we did whatever we did. Katie she's got a good head on her shoulders. I never did. And from the time she was 12, we have always addressed any mental health issues any of our kids have ever had. That's not something that we Gen Xers were ever. In fact, seeing a therapist was considered a stigma.
We're never afforded mental health.
Yeah. For struggling with life decisions. I was one. I think I won't speak for all Gen Xers, but we were very loved by our parents, but extremely neglected. And for our generation, it's so unique because we were loved, but we were so neglected. It's unbelievable how we survived. And here's an observation that I made about boomers. They were not neglected like we were. That's what's so bizarre, is my grandparents spoiled them. They got homemade meals, washed clothes, ironed clothes, clean homes. My dad had a hard-working lifestyle. Him and his brothers had to work for anything extra. They picked cotton. They traveled with the migrants and picked fruit all through the West, all the way to California. And that was what they had to do if they wanted school money and school supplies and also to help their parents.
Yeah, he told me when we talked about it one day. He said that it was to help the family.
Yeah.
They were like required to do it.
But at the same time, they had, clean everything, and they were loved, and they were disciplined, and they were always explaining how life works. My dad would say that his father would teach him, this is how you do things, this is how you greet people, this is what you should be doing, this is what you shouldn't be doing. And they never did that. The boomers, who were being raised by the what's that generation called, baby? The greatest generation on earth.
Oh yeah, the greatest generation.
Yeah, the greatest
The
generation.
silent generation was before that. Yeah.
Yeah, but their parents were the World War II. The ones that went through World War II. They were born during the Great Depression, and they did nothing but explain life to the boomers. You know, this is how you save money. This is how you work hard. This is how you handle racism. This is how you do this. They were constantly, boomers were given a roadmap to their lives. And then I don't know what glitch was in their brain, but a majority of the boomers did not pass that knowledge. And I wonder if it's because it was a different world. And they thought in their brain, yeah, but the information my parents told us was for a world that doesn't exist anymore. I don't know. But we were given scouting. Half the stuff I learned was from Girl Scouts. Thank God. My mom did not sit and teach me how to cook. I was supposed to observe her and then learn. Because she would randomly say, okay, go make tacos. I better have paid attention. Go make a bottle for your brother. And my mother had the Playtex bottle system. I
Is
had
that the one that had the shell with you put the bag inside?
Yeah, you put the bag
I
inside.
did that for my little brother and sister.
And it's like, okay. And my mom would get they don't do this anymore, but they used to sell big cans of formula, so I knew how to do that. I didn't have to mix formula. I just got the can opener and popped it, you know, on opposite sides and then poured it in. But there just wasn't any. This is what you do with men. This is what you do with dates. This is what you do. And I was constantly teaching my kids. And even then, I found out that we fell short with some stuff. You know, I've forgotten the speech. You never taught us that, Mom. Oh, I missed that part. You know, maybe we should write a book. This is not stuff. These are the things your children cannot be picking up off the street. My dad did teach me how to do interviews.
Really?
Yeah.
How interesting.
But that's because, and this is the only reason why, my very first interview was with a friend of his who owned a log library. So my father's in the oil business and he's a landman. Yes, like the TV show that is out with, what's his name? What is his name? The actor.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton.
And John Hamm.
Of course, my dad hasn't, watched anything blow up, but but he's a land. Yeah, my dad is a landman, and so most of the job entails running title. You go and you look up who owns this land so that you can knock on the right door. You don't just walk up to anybody and say, hey, we think you have minerals. We'd like to drill here. Anyway, part of that dossier that they put together includes the actual minerals that they have found. And that was my first job, was to work at that library, which was a bunch of geographical scans. And I had to that's all I did was file them and run copies. They wouldn't even let me do copies because I messed them up all the time. And one time I made coffee without the coffee pot.
How do you make coffee without a coffee pot?
I set up all the coffee.
Oh, and you started
and I
and walked
forgot
away.
to put the coffee pot. But anyway, my dad made sure that I presented myself professionally for my very first interview. And I got the job that I didn't know how to do. I was 16. Yeah. But one of the things I did learn by observation and by listening to the stories of my mother and my father was I grew up listening to two extremely intelligent Mexican Americans talk about how to be better than the white people they were working with. And I don't know if that rubbed off on me because I never go into a job, I'm going to be better than the white people. That is not how my brain is wired. But I know that the message was Mexicans have to be better because they're never going to get credit for what they do anyway. So at some point, someone will see you and see your work. And my mother would always say, be above reproach. Be above reproach. She did give me that warning when I got fired from one job I had. And she said, you messed up. You made lots of mistakes. This was a church daycare that I got fired for my personal life. And I'm not going to go into details. But my mother said, you have to be above reproach. You do not give your employer any reason. And you need to be invaluable. And I picked that message up listening to my mother and my father, who both in the oil industry were invaluable. They would put in 2 weeks' notice to go work for another company, and they would have the current oil company offer them money. And that says something because my dad did not graduate from college.
You know, Dad still gets calls.
Yeah. He's
Retired,
retired.
but he still gets
Yeah.
jobs. He
Because
still
if you
gets
want
like, hey,
if
come
you
do
want the
this.
best landman, you call my father. And yeah. My mother loves to burn bridges wherever she goes because she knows she's the best of the best of the best. And she butts heads with her employers. That's not how she was when she was young. But now, in her 70s, they still call her 70s. We need you to come over here. She is a lease administrator. She deals with the contracts that they write up for the mineral rights. And she could do that blindfolded. She can do that blindfolded. So they taught me to be invaluable. I can't do a half-assed job. And I've worked with teachers that are like, I don't get paid enough to do that. I don't get paid enough to do that. No, that's above my pay grade. They're never going to care. Listen, they're never going to care. That's bullshit. Every AP that I've ever had has always pulled me aside and has made it clear that I am the best that they've ever seen work. That they go to my classroom just to relax. That's what I was told. And I that's what I miss about the traditional classroom is how should I put this? It's the sense of accomplishment. Because you could walk into my room of 32 students and they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. And there's a pride in that. And I'm the one that would be, when a teacher would say, oh, I never could get my kids off their phone. They don't do it. Really? My students do. I prided myself on my class management, on my SPED students' scores, test scores. That says something about me. And I have to be the best of the best. And anybody who thinks that they are better than me, they're delusional. That's how I believed. When I was in the traditional school setting, you could not be better than me. Your scores would not be better than me. And keep in mind, was the inclusion teacher. So yeah, there was this one teacher. They wouldn't even let special ed students take his class because he was a lawsuit waiting to happen. He would never fulfill their accommodations. So, considering that I was getting all the SPED students, yeah, I had that classroom was run beautifully, and it was project based and parent communication. An AP could bank on me. I had one AP that came all the way downstairs to talk to me because a a parent, it wasn't a real parent, it was a
Fake parent?
now I forgot what they call them. It
Guardian?
was an exchange student, her guardians, but we call them something, and I can't remember what the name is. But
Sponsor?
yeah, no, we use the word mother, but something mother. But anyway, the exchange student, which really disappointed me because this exchange student was from the Netherlands. And I thought we were going to get on famously because my kids are half Dutch. And I know she knew exactly where Tilburg was. She lived close to Tilburg. She knew where my husband grew up, blah, 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 blah.
Ex-husband.
Ex-husband grew up. But this little shit, well, let me give you a backstory. This was right smack in the middle of the pandemic. So this foreign exchange student didn't come to class. She chose to do Zoom. We were told all foreign exchange students would not be able to come to America unless they came to the classrooms. I don't know how she got exempted. Her guardian, American mother, called the AP and said that I threatened the students that if they didn't pass the STAR test, they weren't going to pass my class. And the Dutch know English. So to play the card, oh, there's something lost in translation. No, there's just nothing lost in translation, Cal. You purposely lied to your guardian. Okay, she lied to her guardian, and so the guardian called the principal and said, "Yeah, my student is telling me that she's being forced to take the STAR test, and if she doesn't take it, she's not going to pass the class." Why the hell would I say that? And my AP didn't even have to verify. He knew I would never have said that. So he comes downstairs and he goes, "I just want to let you know that's why I'm here. I already got your back, but this is what the foreign exchange student is saying." I pulled up the email that I sent all the students. If they passed the STAR test, even if they're failing my class currently, if they pass that STAR test, I will go ahead and pass them for the class. And normally you don't do that. But I mean, it's during the pandemic. It's a hard time. I'm not going to have them, if they know the material enough to pass the STAR test, I'm going to pass them for U.S. history. Because some people, after the pandemic and before the pandemic, even if you passed the STAR test, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to pass U.S. history. That's really that's a teacher discretion. So I showed him the email. He goes, "Lisette, I know you. I know you are pro-student. You do nothing but help students pass." I knew what she was saying was wrong. And I said, "Well, let me call her." And he said, "No, no, 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 no. I don't want you talking to her." Because they knew I had a temper. Don't mess with me.
You? A temper? Really?
Someone said that I might have a temper.
I wonder who that could have been.
Anyway, I pride myself.
In your temper?
I pride myself in my drive. I have to be the best of the best. Now, this new job here, I love it, and I won't give it up. This job is not about class management, test scores, you know, blowing your T-test evaluations out of the water. That's not what this is about. This is really true mentorship. This is me working with, I don't have a class bigger than 4 students. And this is about giving students with real, young lady, get the hell away from me. This is Bear's girlfriend, and she thinks that we're going to be friends now.
She's your cat from before I even knew you.
She's not really mine. Could you please grab her?
Yeah, come on.
I have to tell you the story about this
Come on,
fool.
sweetheart. Come on.
Go, old lady. She's so old and she has dementia and she thinks we're
Not
friends.
dementia.
We're not friends. Anyway, this job is about true mentorship. It's about students, high-risk students who they want to graduate. They know this is their last effort. So I work at an alternative high school. This is the last, if they don't do what they are required to do to get their credits, then we just say goodbye, go try to get your GED. So and we accept students up to 21. By law, we're allowed to take students for the alternative high school. I think we're allowed to take students. No, I don't. When I say I think, I mean I know we do, but I think that's why we could take students up to 21, and not traditional high school. Traditional high school cannot take 21-year-old students. We get to take them because they are trying to get credit without going to the community college and paying for the GED class. So I'm in a position where this isn't really teaching. When I find myself teaching, it's fun. I love it because I do one-on-one. So we'll just sit and I'm just telling them the story about the Great Depression. And we're talking and I'll be telling the story because history is a story. It's a true story, but it's a story. And so I'm talking and I'll look up and a student who should be doing his own work is listening to me. So I still got it. I still got it. And I've always been told that. I love listening to you.
You're a good storyteller.
Yeah, I love listening to you tell the story of our history. True story. During the pandemic, we figured out parents were listening. How can they not? Their kid is at the dining table with their Chromebooks. They're going to listen to the teachers. And a lot of teachers were getting reported for being rude, for being boring, for whatever. One of my coworkers was being reported for indoctrination. He was so far right, it was ridiculous. He was teaching about Planned Parenthood in a way that is not on our Texas standards, but he had his agenda, and he got lots of complaints from parents. And I would get emails, or actually, I got a couple of emails. I would only say I got 2, but I actually had students tell me, my mom tries to come home to listen to your class. That's a thing. They like the way you talk. They like the way you teach U.S. history. Okay, that made me a little nervous. But, so I take pride. I take pride in my craft. I take pride in my knowledge of my content. And I take pride that I gave 7 years to a really good high school. And I reached students, and I might end up back in a traditional school one day. Who knows? But for now, this job is a blessing. And
it's a blessing.
Yeah, it has helped. It's probably why I don't have high blood pressure anymore. I'm not gonna lie. It is so calming. It's so, I feel like with traditional students, they're so privileged. I don't know if I'm reaching them. I know that they have to obey me. You have to turn in the work. You're not going to get a grade for not turning in the work. And so it was not a struggle to enforce that rule. It was a struggle to convince them that the rule existed. They were like, "She must be joking. I've never I've never had a consequence. Now you're gonna have a consequence with me.
What?
A consequence."
I love you. Good knuckle there.
Because they didn't believe me. And I'm like, "No, I've done all my work. I've contacted you. I've contacted your parents. You're failing." And they would just look at me, I can't. We should have thought about that. And yes, I was one of those teachers that would tell the students, well, there is something you can do. You can build yourself a time machine and go back in time and get it right. Because I asked you several times to turn in work. I reminded you several times, and here's all the emails. And also, you're always on your phone. So I don't owe you any favors because you didn't do me any favors. I don't owe you anything. Yeah, that was who I was. So it was getting hard to get these kids, to convince these kids. It took about 2 whole 6 weeks to convince the students who were just, and there weren't, let me tell you something. When I say privileged, I mean privileged. They're coming to school in $70,000 cars. So it was exhausting to tell students who had they were not high risk at all. And you had to convince these kids that you mean what you're going to say because they've never been given a consequence, ever. And so they're shocked when they meet me. And like, that's what I'm telling you. And I had coworkers that were just like, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm the one to deal with their mother. Why not? I'm ready. Because see, one, all it takes is learning how to communicate. That's all. I figured out how to email parents as soon as the assignment was missing, and you can do that with Canvas. That's all I did. I learned how to send out emails daily. So by the time I failed a student, there was 30 to 40 emails. And that's all. You're done. You're above reproach. And that's my motto: be above reproach. Don't let anyone have a complaint about you. They can complain about you following the rules, but they can't complain about you dropping the ball and not following the rules. That was the secret of my success. And I don't have to deal with that because the students that I work with, they have real issues. There's nothing privileged about these kids' lives. And so it is an honor to help them. It really is. I'm dealing with a different type of student. And I think that's why my job is more rewarding now than what it was in the traditional school. In the traditional school, you have to admit, it was about me shining, me being a superstar teacher, me having the best class management, me, you know, shining through. With this, it's not about me. It's about my students. And I'm okay with that. I really am. Okay, guys, y'all have a wonderful Tuesday. I'm trying to relax. I was in a lot of pain because, I mean, I don't know how many hours they made me stay on my back. I don't lay on my back. So I had a bunch of backaches and issues with my leg, but I feel better. I took 2 Tylenol this morning and I feel good. And I'm going to have a great day because I'm going to my gynecologist and we are going to discuss my hysterectomy.